We'll be back with more news at 6.
We'll see you then. From ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. They have taken the knife to General Motors, and in some cases, GM management has used a meat axe. The world's largest car manufacturer said today that part of the fundamental change in the way it intends to do business means that 21 plants will be closed in the U.S. and thousands of jobs eliminated. All across the GM system tonight, the uncertainty created by GM's financial hemorrhaging over the last several years has been heightened by fear of the details yet to come. In the words of one worker at the Arlington plant in Texas, this reaches down into every nook and cranny of a GM employee's life. Our first report is from ABC's Chris Bury.
GM acted today because its North American business is losing $500 million every month, hammered by the recession, foreign competition, and its own inefficiency. The sea of unsold cars outside the Flint assembly plant points to GM's critical failings. Too few sales, too many factories. General Motors knows it must shrink to compete.
A leaner, more productive, more efficient General Motors will be ready to face the mid-90s. And GM will become a much different corporation.
GM hopes to avoid layoffs by eliminating most of the 24,000 jobs through attrition and early retirement. They include 15,000 union workers and 9,000 white-collar employees. By 1995, GM hopes to trim another 50,000 jobs. To accomplish all this, the company will close 6 assembly plants and 15 smaller factories. In addition, GM will freeze hiring, shut down all operations for 2 weeks next summer, and cut capital spending by more than $1 billion.
It is now going through a dramatic crisis, clearly, and it's been forced to downsize itself to reflect the realities of the market.
In its heyday, a profitable GM not only commanded the country's car market, it epitomized America's corporate culture. Loyalty to the company, known as Generous Motors, was rewarded with a job for life, sizable benefits, and a bonus every Christmas. Today, GM even took away the Christmas bonus.
So what GM is going through in terms of their leaning and trimming and rationalization is absolutely a matter of survival. They have to do it.
GM says the job losses will be cushioned. Many white-collar employees will be offered buyouts. Union workers are guaranteed a temporary income. But what makes these cutbacks so different is that no one here expects the lost jobs to ever come back. Chris Bury, ABC News, Detroit.
As part of the overall reorganization, workers at 2 GM plants find themselves in an us or them situation. GM says it must close one of 2 auto assembly plants, either the one in Arlington, Texas, or the Willow Run plant in Ypsilanti, Michigan. The question is, which one? ABC's Linda Patillo is in Arlington, Texas.
The 3,700 workers at the Arlington plant do not know whether they will be the ones to lose their jobs.
Well, it could be it for us.
You know, I just got to sit and wait and worry about it, just like everybody else.
It's just nervousness, very frustrated, very unhappy. You know, no one wants to be without a job.
No one wanted it to come down to this, one plant's workforce against another. But GM says either this plant or the one in Michigan will have to close.
I feel sorry for their family. I feel sorry for my family. I just wish everybody the best.
Even as GM was making the announcement, union members here were voting on whether to allow their leadership to negotiate concessions on overtime and work rules. That will cost them money, but they hope it will convince the company to keep their plant open.
Now, I'm not sure we're going to be that happy with it, but I guess it's better than being without a job.
Other businesses in town could be hurt as well. The GM plant has a payroll of $120 million a year. Jack Hanna just bought the fried chicken restaurant across the street from the plant.
It's going to hurt and hurt my family. You know, it means I got to have another job at night just to go on with the business.
Richard Lauk has worked at the plant for 8 years. It's hard for him and his wife to think about Christmas when they're bracing themselves for the worst.
I'm not prepared for it.
Financially?
Emotionally or financially. It's devastating to us.
The awful uncertainty could last for several months until they find out whether their jobs will be lost or saved. Linda Patillo, ABC News, Arlington, Texas.
President Bush was in Texas today, not far away from the GM plant. Mr. Bush had gone to a highway construction site to sign a $151 billion transportation bill that he said could be summed up in 3 words: jobs, jobs, jobs. Mr. Bush said the legislation will pump $11 billion into the economy and create about 600,000 jobs next year alone. The man to whom many in government and business turn when looking for a way out of the recession warned today against looking for shortcuts. The chairman of the Federal Reserve Board, Alan Greenspan, says there are no easy answers. Here's ABC's Stephen Ogg.
Greenspan told the House Ways and Means Committee the numbers show the economy should be recovering, but he conceded it's not. And the reason, he said, is an unusual loss of confidence.
There is a deep-seated concern out there, which I must say to you, I have not seen in my lifetime. It is very hard to grasp the depth of the concerns unless you look at it as a problem about their future.
He said people can get past short-term hardships, but they're worried now about long-term economic survival for themselves and their children. Greenspan indicated the Fed might lower interest rates further, but he could offer no timetable for an economic recovery.
What we are looking at is a pause, a different type of pause than we've seen in past recoveries, but a pause, nevertheless, in an economy which overall is in the process of recovering.
Greenspan rejected so-called quick fixes for the economy, like the plan circulating in the administration to give every taxpayer a one-time $300 rebate. He suggested Congress would do better to concentrate on the long term and let the recovery come around on its own. Stephen Ogg, ABC News, Washington.
Another note about General Motors. Wall Street had pretty well anticipated what GM was going to say today. The stock lost only 1/8 of a point to close at 27 3/4. Also on Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained nearly 6 points to close at 29.08, and the trading was active. In a moment, the other news. Secretary Baker on the road with a message of American values and about nuclear containment. Also a crackdown on those who may be selling confidential information about you. And on the American agenda tonight, tearing holes in the social safety net.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by the Discover Card.
Do your holiday shopping with the Discover Card, and you'll not only give, you'll receive a cashback bonus for every charge. It pays to discover.
Every time it rains, it rains.
The Discover Card pays a cashback bonus on every penny you charge.
Pennies from heaven.
It pays to discover.
Everyone knows Contact wrote the book on cold medicine. Now Contact's added a whole new chapter, introducing new Contact Day and Night. On this page, yellow day caplets that knock out your cold symptoms without making you drowsy, so you can breathe easy and work all day long. On this page, blue night caplets that relieve your symptoms to let you rest. Both formulas control your cold symptoms with the right medicine at the right time. New Contact Day and Night, a whole new chapter in cold relief.
Overseas, Secretary of State Baker finished his tour of former Soviet republics today. The Bush administration has been playing down what influence it might be able to exert on what will replace the old Union, but what the Secretary heard today was apparently very encouraging. ABC's John McCarthy is with him.
As Secretary Baker traveled to Belarus and Ukraine today, he was again selling American principles and values as the standard by which change in this part of the world should be measured. He held out diplomatic recognition as the reward for adopting American standards on democracy, free markets, and nuclear safety. And every leader with whom Baker has met seems eager to win that reward. Especially in Ukraine, which is the most powerful republic after Russia, Baker praised the direction of change.
Republics that embrace these principles and values, the United States will recognize. Ukraine, as I've indicated to the President this evening, is in the forefront of those republics.
The high praise for Ukrainian President Kravchuk is in contrast to a more restrained assessment of Boris Yeltsin's efforts next door in Russia. It is perhaps an effort to push Yeltsin, who also wants U.S. recognition on the nuclear issue. Yeltsin has said his republic will probably keep a nuclear arsenal. What Baker found today in both Belarus and Ukraine was a strong interest in getting rid of nuclear weapons quickly, with Kravchuk saying he would like the thousands of nuclear weapons on his soil to be gone in 5 years if possible. It's anticipated that American experts will be traveling to these republics next month to help with plans to begin destruction of the weapons. Secretary Baker will also be traveling to this part of the world in January, exerting more pressure for change that is both peaceful and on American terms. John McWethy, ABC News, Kiev, Ukraine.
Diplomatic recognition is not all the republics want. In some cases, there is a desperate need for overseas economic help. The question is, what kind? ABC's John Donvan is in Moscow.
They are flying medicine into Moscow this week, $20 million worth, donated by U.S. drug companies. It is only a small part of the medical aid and food aid sent by the West this year. The help is appreciated, although it is not all that some here would hope for. During an after-hours tour of a factory that makes sausages, the manager said she would prefer that the West also send her plant better equipment so they could produce better food here.
Our farms produce enough. It's more a problem of eliminating waste. Even at this factory, we could get rid of waste if we had the right technology.
She has taken potential foreign investors on this tour. The trouble is, none of them saw enough profit potential to come back a second time. The No. 20 Children's Hospital, where they rely on French medicine and where a German bank bought them this X-ray system that the doctors say is 90% more efficient than the old one. But one doctor says it is the whole medical system that needs reforming, and for that they could use a lot more Western know-how, such as how to make the hospital more financially efficient. Despite years of education, the doctors and people in other professions say that after so many years under communism, hardly anyone here can teach standard business practice.
We cannot train business managers, we cannot train economists. Who would know the private economy?
But that may be changing.
We shall work and we shall learn, and a lot of money will be...
The Moscow chapter of Junior Achievement, a program set up here by U.S. teachers, where high school students learn to run a business, along the way also learning that making money is not always antisocial.
I'll help my country to be one of the best countries in the world.
There are still Russians who, out of pride, say they need no help from the West, but most of them belong to an older generation than this. John Donvan, ABC News, Moscow.
In Washington today, round 2 of the Middle East peace talks has ended. Nothing accomplished yet. The Israeli and Arab delegations have agreed to meet again next month. No decision on where. In a moment, cracking down on privacy pirates.
I don't know. This seems very unorthodox. Look, this guy's been working all night, and he's looking forward to a good breakfast. He's gonna remember us.
At Kellogg's, we take great pride in the quality food products we make and work hard all year to bring our best to you each morning.
You must have liked them.
On this very special morning,
Don't worry. Maybe you'll see him next year. Ho, ho, ho.
we wish you and yours the very best of everything.
This morning, everything seemed fine. But as the day wore on, he felt feverish, weak. And though every muscle in his body ached, he kept going. Now, with the job done, he has a raw, sore throat, congestion, and a hacking cough. Steve McKee knows it's a flu, and he's got to get home to relief. Theraflu relief. Theraflu is serious flu medicine doctors recommend. Strong, hot liquid relief to ease flu symptoms fast. Theraflu. Your flu misery stops here.
For the first time today, federal agents around the country began arresting people and charging them with selling confidential information, quite possibly about you. your financial records, your taxes, your job history, information the government says is not theirs to sell. Here's ABC's John Martin.
In New York, at a Social Security office, FBI agents arrested a claims officer and accused him of taking bribes to give out confidential employment histories to private investigators. The other suspects taken into custody include private investigators, a policeman, and other government employees. Their arrests open the door on a twilight world of information brokers. The brokers collect and sell computerized information on everything from telephone credit card calls to tax and property records. Texas information broker George Theodore was arrested today on theft and conspiracy charges. In the past, he insisted he acted legally, purchasing computer disks holding 90 million names, addresses, and telephone numbers.
It's awfully hard for you to hide from somebody like me.
The broker's customers are landlords, employers, banks, insurance agencies, companies looking to screen out undesirables, everyone from prospective tenants to prospective borrowers. Given one piece of information like a Social Security or credit card number, a broker can find out much more.
The most routine transaction in the marketplace can trigger a whole wave of information being sold about that individual.
Some of the information is accurate, some erroneous, and some incomplete. That is one reason FBI crime files are supposed to be for law enforcement use only. At a detective agency in Washington, ABC producer James Bamford posed as a prospective customer and secretly videotaped a private investigator who bragged about how he gains entry to confidential FBI records.
The person I use, or the agent I use, has access to the entire federal NCIC, which is the National Criminal Index. And that's how we do it. There's no other way to do it.
Federal agents hope today's arrests get Congress to toughen laws protecting privacy. For years, Big Brother meant government spying. But today, Big Brother can mean your landlord, your boss, or your neighbor. John Martin, ABC News, Washington.
In the other news today, two reports on health care. A new review of Census Bureau statistics shows that another 1 million Americans lost their health insurance in 1990, which means now that nearly 35 million people are uninsured. And a federal panel set up to advise the government on how to reform the health care system is calling for national health insurance for those children over 4 whose parents cannot afford insurance for them. The panel recommends paying for it with extra taxes on alcohol and tobacco. When we come back, the American agenda, falling through the safety net.
My dad had ulcers, so when my stomach started acting up, I was afraid to go to the doctor. But finally, I went. Was I relieved when my doctor said Mylanta? He said it was indigestion, not an ulcer, and my kind of indigestion called for a strong medicine.
Mylanta is strong medicine, strongly recommended. In fact, Mylanta is the antacid doctors recommend most.
My doctor said Mylanta.
And try Mylanta's Mylacon. It has the best medicine for gas.
This Christmas, you can send a beautiful gift without ever having to leave home. The FTD Season's Greetings Bouquet. It's highly recommended by the one big guy who should know.
It's as easy as FTD.
You can count on Sears for great Christmas values. This Craftsman router table plus extensions is a $65 value for an unbelievable $39.99. It's our best seller and a great buy, only at Sears now.
Searching for the perfect shave? Let Norelco show you what it's like from the inside. Here, there's a system for a close, comfortable shave that exists in no other razor. Our patented lift and cut system lifts the hair so when it's cut, it can actually drop below skin level without the blades even touching your face. So to look better on the surface, remember, Norelco shaves below the surface. Norelco, we make close, comfortable.
The doctor a cough, you have to keep up with the latest medicine for your family. Like new Robitussin cough drops from the people whose cough medicine is recommended by more doctors and pharmacists.
Try this, it's new.
Robitussin cough drops have an active ingredient that speeds relief right to your cough to soothe and medicate.
Excuse me, try this, it's new.
New Robitussin cough drops from the cough experts.
On the American agenda tonight, taking away the safety net. There is a study published today which finds that during 1991, More than 40 states, in one way or another, either froze or cut back on their welfare payments to the poor. In some cases, they're the deepest cuts in a decade, and nowhere are they more severe than in Michigan. This fall, the Michigan state government, faced with a budget deficit, told more than 80,000 people who get some assistance from the state that they should be able to take care of themselves. It's very hard. Our agenda reporter is Rebecca Chase.
They are not old enough for Social Security, not sick enough for disability. They are people like Lewis Moody, whose lung problems make it impossible for him to practice his trade.
All my life, I've been a metal worker. I love to weld. I like to take iron. I can do anything with a piece of iron that can be done with it.
Most are single adults, poorly educated with few job skills, like Ada Prater, whose husband walked out after she raised their 5 children.
I just couldn't find anything that I could really do full time.
Some have criminal records, others drug or alcohol problems. Many, like Raymond Gray, simply cannot find a job. His only income this week came from selling blood.
I just went to the plasma center the other day, and that's only $10, and that bought something to eat.
General assistance used to give all these people an average of $140 a month plus food stamps. But in October, the checks stopped.
Michigan was struggling with a $1 billion deficit. Rather than further cut education or programs to help children or the disabled, the legislature here eliminated welfare for the able-bodied. It is being called a social experiment because no one knows what will happen to all these people cut off.
The state director of social services defends the cuts, which save $240 million a year.
You always have to look at public policy in the context of the alternatives. And the alternatives in this state would have been far, far worse.
Here comes a cold front, not going to be all snow with temperatures in the 20s for us.
The cuts come at a time when temperatures are dropping and unemployment is rising. Soup kitchens are filled to capacity, and there are lines at the homeless shelters. The unwilling participants in this so-called experiment are facing harsh realities.
It's an insult that people that are in a position of power can experiment with people's lives.
In fact, many of these people the state considers able-bodied will not be able to support themselves. For example, Lewis Moody's age and health are barriers to his employment. He works as a janitor now, but a part-time minimum wage job is not enough to live on.
Do you have any money in your pocket?
I think I got a dime, 1 dime. 54 years old, I got 1 dime.
Ada Prater is also 54. She is entering the job market without ever having held a job. She is in a training program that provides temporary part-time work. Still, she worries she will lose her home.
I've lived there for 15 years, and my mortgage is 2 months behind.
Yes, I'm calling about the ad in the paper.
Raymond Gray has found that even with education and experience, jobs are scarce. The cuts left him homeless, making it even more difficult to look for work.
I'm out there every day, you know, and got a resume, everything, college, worked for the state, Department of Commerce, I don't know.
Unemployment is now almost 10% in Michigan. In a local TV interview, even the governor who proposed the cuts acknowledged the problem.
Do you know where there are 100,000 jobs available for people who want to work in the state of Michigan this afternoon?
No, they may not all be in Michigan. Some of them may actually be in other states.
Governor John Engler's message of get a job or leave the state has been controversial, but officials say they are determined to break the welfare cycle by forcing people to work.
Almost 1 out of 8 persons in this state is on some type of public assistance, and we have to turn that around.
Michigan is not alone in having to make hard decisions in hard times. Other states are watching to see how the experiment works, whether the thousands of people cut off welfare end up succeeding in jobs or struggling on the streets. Rebecca Chase, ABC News, Lansing, Michigan.
The American Agenda. We'll have our final report in a moment.
I've got a 6 a.m. flight. I've got to get some Z's.
Nitol safely helps you fall asleep fast so you can get your Z's. Nitol or Maximum Strength Nitol.
Nitol will help you get your Z's.
Why cook in oil, margarine, or butter? All-natural Pam adds only 1/10 the fat and calories and keeps food light and delicious. Pam cooking spray, because how you cook is as important as what you cook.
Before we made a driver's minivan airbag standard in the Plymouth Voyager and the Dodge Caravan, we tested it. We did the same with our available all-wheel drive and ABS brakes. And now, for 1992, Chrysler introduces the world's first built-in fold-away child seat. And for this latest achievement, we'd like to thank all the little people who made it possible.
Shoot some slices, shoot some shreds, shoot some salad, 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 salad shooter.
Presto Salad Shooter Slicer Shredder. Point and shoot right where you want. Clean up easy, dishwasher safe, store anywhere.
Salad shooter.
Original, cordless, and professional salad shooter.
Introducing Glade Plug-ins Potpourri.
Plug it in the fresh in the air. Plug it in the fresh in everywhere.
Plug into freshness with Glade Plug-ins, now in Potpourri.
Plug it in, plug it in.
In tonight's Consumer Corner, find out how airlines are putting the squeeze on passengers. I'm Bob Mueller. The story coming up next on Channel 2 News at 6.
Finally, hear this evening how the children see it. It is so often a revelation to adults when children get a chance to explain their perspective on an issue or an event. And when they are given an opportunity to exhibit how it is they see things, the rest of us very often benefit from their insight. Do you remember those terrible fires around Oakland, California a couple of months ago? The children do. Here's ABC's Brian Rooney.
When the Oakland Hills burned, the fire left images in the minds of the children who live here.
I heard a couple of houses collapse, so I went onto my roof and I saw some houses collapse.
A few days after the disaster, an art teacher at the Anthony Chabot Elementary School asked her classes to put their feelings into pictures of the fire. Evan Brooks had lost his home.
Here's our front yard. Here's the side yard. Here's the two sides yards. And there's a tree, a big tree. And
you like that tree?
Yeah, it was my favorite tree.
The teacher had the children draw with chalk on black paper. The pictures are on display at the Museum of Children's Art in Oakland.
It shows how I felt when I was feeling really bad about my house because everything was gone. All my memories were gone.
The pictures are filled with flames, helicopters in the air, and oversized firemen. Renee Nakagawa put large animal eyes in the middle of the flames.
I was thinking of animals that couldn't escape, and they're getting burned.
The teacher says she can see a difference between these pictures and what her students drew before the fire.
It's one thing to make a picture of something, and it's another thing to get physically involved and emotionally involved, and that was a real big thing that happened in these pictures.
The pictures are not meant to be pretty. They are a reflection of what the children saw and what they think. Brian Rooney, ABC News, Oakland, California.
That's World News Tonight. I'm Peter Jennings. Good night.
And now, the news